Thank you for tuning in to Koppen with Comic. I'm Brian Koppen, and we're with comic Eileen Hanley. Eileen Hanley, how the hell are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing so good. Thank you so much for coming on. And it sounds like people can find you do online comedy during the quarantine. You're at Glitter Wrists, which is hilarious.
Thank you. Yes, it's glitter on your wrists. Glitter wrists, exactly like it sounds. Yeah.
Is that just you noticed after a party or something you came home with glitter wrists often, or what?
No, I thought I don't remember how I thought of it exactly, but it sounds like clitoris. So I thought
clitoris was already taken.
Yeah, well, it's like low key because some people are like, oh wow, that's such a cool image of like glitter on your wrists, and then some people get it immediately. So it's fun for me to see like who understands.
Yeah.
Who is
not Brian? Yeah, for the record, not Brian Koppen.
Yeah, I mean, you have to say it. Sometimes I'm like, say it 3 times fast, and then you'll know.
And I love that, like, and you're not afraid to go kind of, I don't know, I guess adjacent to sexual. I see a little bit of nudity on your Instagram.
Yeah, I'm a really big fan of comedy nudes. I think it's a very underappreciated art form. You know, I'm not. I don't have an OnlyFans or anything, but I think that it's I just think it's funny to like take the art of the nude and make it very accessible and make it comedy.
Yeah. And so how do you make what makes a perfect comedy nude? What goes into the art form?
Well, that all the ones that I have on my Instagram are because for my boyfriend's birthday, I made him a calendar, and each month was a different candy. So then each month was like inspired, the design and the pose and what went over my nipples was inspired by a different candy. So
so on the calendar there was all these nudes, and then you shared them on Instagram.
Yeah, right. Not a very good present.
Your boyfriend was super excited, and then he's like, shit, I'm considerably less excited now that everybody's going to share in the joy of this.
He was like, he was like, yeah, you should sell them, like get some money. Which is still on the table, not off the
it sounds like before the quarantine you were doing Crazy Hot Show, which was, a variety of stand-up comics and musical comedy, which you do, and I see that former guest Dylan Adler was on there.
Yes, it's Crazy Hot, the wet show. It was about how looking wet is hot.
Always hot. It doesn't matter who's wet.
Well,
totally hot.
So we had a segment of the show that was kind of a spoiler alert because we never got to do this show because it was scheduled to be on March 14th, which was like basically the day that quarantine began.
Yeah.
But it'll see the light of day someday. But we have a segment that's like called Definitely Not Hot, and so then we would give examples of when being wet is not hot, like when it's like a frog coming out of a lake, or like your really wrinkle fingers when you've been in the bath for too long.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Or a comedy podcaster. We are not hot when we're wet.
Hey, don't say that.
But we're also not hot when we're dry either. So we're pretty consistent. And the other thing you had is Sisterwise Improv, and that was just everybody. It looked like you had Maria Dakotas in your improv troupe, and that was at the Pit. Whereas Crazy Hot was at Caveat.
Correct. Yes. And we are the Sisterwives. We've been together for about 4 years, and we had a monthly show at the Pit. It was really fun. We're improv heads, so that's maybe that's not hot to people, but it's hot to us.
Laughter will always be funny to me. I mean, laughter will always be hot and sexy to me. So thank you for doing it. Thank you for doing the Lord's work of making us laugh.
That's what I think it is.
It's the fucking Lord's work.
And
being nude is the closest to God, man. Eve was nude.
Exactly. There's nothing funnier than someone who's funny, and nothing sexier than someone who's naked. So just put them together.
Dude, just put them together, and Eileen Hanley will be at the intersection of naked and funny. And some of the topics that you supplied today, and I love, they're driving in the open roads, swimming in lakes in Maine. It sounds like you have an idyllic existence. Regardless of quarantine, were you doing these things? Were you taking consistently taking road trips out of New York City before quarantine?
No, I was not. I actually haven't left the city at all in about 3 months, which is it's really sad actually, but my boyfriend and I, we are moving back to Maine actually,
Oh,
for the foreseeable future, which is a bummer. But you know, it's not forever. We'll be back. We're both from Maine, so we are, you know, set up to have the support of our family, which is really great.
yeah.
But you know, it has always been sort of a strange crossroads with me of like, I really love performing. I love the city. I think the people here are great, but I really do miss like nature and going outside and quiet and peace and like looking at the sky and seeing tons of stars. That's a part of me that I've really been neglecting. And so I am excited to get back in touch with that part of me.
And can comedy come from places of peace? Like, do you find that you are writing better stuff and singing better musical comedy when you're at a place of peace, or does it come from a struggle?
You know, I think it comes from peace. Like I think right now, especially with quarantine, the Black Lives Matter movement, everything has such unrest and instability, and we're all like really, really shaken, I think, to our cores, and that makes it very difficult for me personally. It's made it really difficult to create. So I
Yeah.
think definitely I'm a better creator when I know like, okay, I'm gonna have enough money to pay my rent. You know, I'm gonna be okay walking down the street. Like that comes from um you know, not to say like I'm pretty much always okay walking down the street, but you know, that sort of stuff when it's interspersed in our society, I think just this level of unrest makes it really hard to be a creative artist.
So how were you kind of churning out, consistent quality comedy videos here on, online or at your shows, if you were living in New York City? It was just considerably more peaceful and less anxious before all this went down?
Well, yeah, I would say that before all this happened, I was doing it pretty regularly and I felt, you know, inspired. I was constantly going to shows. I was seeing my friends and that was like, and I was really felt like I was doing really well. Like I was getting a lot of really cool opportunities and was being inspired really regularly. And now, I mean, I don't think I've said anything funny in like a month. And that's, you know, it's very difficult. Like I think it's a very hard time to be an artist when everything is so uncertain, and it's really hard to be like told that we should continue to create and like, oh well, you know, you just have to keep creating. It's like it's really hard mentally. I think I don't think I'm alone in this when I say like I've not made good content in probably a month because it's just so much stress and unrest, and it's hard to feel creative.
And I think, like, you going out to Maine, I think that you are not going to be missing out on much, because you
Yeah.
got to wonder what the capacity of some of these venues like the Pit or Caveat's going to be, and how likely people are to return. Like in the meantime, even if you spend a year or two out there, I
Mhm.
think that your online musical comedy product will just fucking go like gangbusters, especially if you're inspired to write pretty regularly.
Yeah, I think so too. And I am excited for that. Like I'm sad to be leaving. It feels a little bit like I'm giving up on my dream, which is not what's happening, obviously, but like it's been hard to reconcile like, you know, well, should I leave or should I stay? But I just know if I stay, you know, I'm going to be here in my apartment. I mean, I'm unemployed, I'm collecting unemployment, and I'm, you know, not able to really escape. So I think with the serenity of nature, I do think that I'll be able to create a little better, which I mean, I'm hoping, you know, and I'll have to get some other part-time job that I don't like, but that's our lives now.
Yeah, and
We
that
have to
that can be a
survive.
source that can be a source of comedy content too. Like, what was your writing process before? Like, what ideas were worth your time? Because it takes more time to kind of put together a song than it does just to, I don't know, say a funny tweet or say a funny joke. Yeah, what kind of topics were worth your time when you were productive?
Great question. I think I'm pretty autobiographical. I think I write a lot about um, just sort of thoughts that I have. I mean, my big hit single is called "I Have a Crush on Every Boy," which is just about how I have a crush on every boy. I mean, pretty self-explanatory. And I like the idea of story songs. I like I'm not so much a person who just like, oh, I have a crush on every boy. That's that's a song. I like to create a through line story. So in that song, there's a scenario where like I'm getting home from work and like I pull out my phone and I'm on Instagram and I'm like looking at like stalking all the boys I've like talked to that day. And then my boyfriend, like my boyfriend comes out of our room and I like chuck my phone across the room and, you know, more of like a story instead of just like one funny line. Although I also really like really short songs. So I have a very short song that's only like 8 bars long about how there are no blue foods in nature. So, you know, it's whatever the mood strikes. And I think especially now in the age of TikTok, we are like, when I'm watching TikToks, I'm like, oh my God, these people are so creative. Like there are just no rules. Like you can do anything you want. And I've always really been a person who like kind of sticks to what has been proven to work. And so I'm challenging myself to like break the mold a little bit in different ways.
So that's good. Like a one-liner for most stand-up comedians would be an 8-bar song for Eileen Hanley.
I guess so. Yeah. Yeah. That's a good comparison.
But and I think I'm kind of the same way. You know, I have obsessive compulsive disorder, which just manifests in certain checking behaviors. But I've recently noticed that it kind of is kind of causing other issues that I never linked before, like food or alcohol or whatever. But I also noticed that I have kind of the same thing as your comedy song had, which is, you know, there's a Whipping Boy song where he goes, "Is it possible to fall in love with everybody you meet?" And that was kind of the first time I was like, yeah, you know, like when I interact with somebody, I have a good interaction and she's anywhere close to attractive, I'm like, man, yeah, she's pretty cool. But I think it might just be an obsessive thing. So if that is the case with you, like it is in your song, and having a boyfriend now, did you find that you're less likely to obsess about everybody you meet because you're kind of obsessed about your boyfriend throughout the day? Or are you really doing that where you're kind of obsessed with everybody you meet and then your boyfriend kind of enters the room and you have to chuck the phone across the room?
I mean, the song is completely true. Like I wrote it a year ago. So we've been together for 7 years now. So, but I mean, I don't think that it's not so much that I am like so in love with every person that I meet that I'm actually contemplating leaving them. It's that like,
Right.
you know, my boyfriend is an amazing man and I love him so much, but it's just that idea that like one person can't fulfill you. And like, that's why we have friends. That's why we have crushes. And I don't think it's wrong to say that we have crushes on other people, even if we're in relationships. I think, you know, you and your partner decide whether or not you act on those urges. If you're allowed to, that's a conversation you can have with your partner. But I don't think it's wrong. I think we should be able to talk about the fact that like, oh yeah, there's this guy who I work with who I think is really cute and I have a crush on him. I don't think that's I think everyone has that. I think we should just talk about that openly.
But I just love it that like, if you're a person who kind of gets into everybody you interacted with, like if your bar is a little bit lower, like if it's not just somebody who's totally hot in your life, that's, you'd be telling your boyfriend every 5 seconds to be like, yeah, the delivery man, he was pretty cute. Yeah, that the ice cream man, he was pretty cute.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like I've said stuff like that. I think we're also just very like.
But he's like, dude, I know this is your thing. You don't have to tell me every time. You tell me 10 times every day.
And you know, I obviously I don't tell him 10 times every day. I think that is too much. And you know, again, per relationship, maybe you guys are into that, and that's fine. But I like, you know, I think that we should all just be open to the fact that like, yeah, there are other attractive people in the world. There are other qualities in people that attract us that our partner doesn't have. But no, I don't think we should constantly be saying like, well, I like this guy because he has nice hair and you don't have nice hair. And I like this guy because he listens really well and you're not a great listener. Like, it's not that. It's just, you know, we should care about the people we're with and we should love them and respect. And if he really doesn't, you know, if my boyfriend was like, you know what, I really don't want to hear about all the guys that you like, I'd be like, okay, I won't talk about it. But that'd
be the first word. That'd be the first word out of my mouth. I'd be like, why the fuck are you telling me? Don't you know that? Am I not insecure enough already? I'm with Eileen. I'm with Eileen Hanley here, who's nude on the internet. Like, I'm already insecure about this whole fucking thing, and you're telling me 10 times a day what you like about the 10 guys you met that day.
Well, you know what? That's just part of dating me, is that he has to, but he's so supportive. I mean, he loves I Have a Crush on Every Boy. He sings it sometimes. He's like, sings it to himself. He thinks it's a great song. So,
I want to
yeah.
hear his Instagram song. Oh, is he in a musical comedy too? I want to hear his Instagram song.
He's not into musical comedy, but he is an opera singer. He's very talented.
That is so cool.
Yeah, he should do an opera cover of it. I think that
Oh,
would be
oh, it's there. Oh, dude. And then put it on your account because I totally will follow it. It's Glitterous. I'll see it on Glitterous. And one thing I wanted to say is, right, I'm going to put you on the spot.
great.
Your Twitter bio says,
Yeah.
comedian, stupid bitch,
Mhm.
dumb slut, unparalleled beauty, both vocal and physical.
Yep.
And then on your Instagram, it says, I'm going to the top here. It
Mhm.
says, at Glitterists, it says, Eileen Hanley, musical comedian, stupid bitch, dumb slut, but make it monogamous.
Mhm.
Tell me about the kind of the thought process behind these bios, if you could.
You know what, Brian? Your guess is as good as mine. I think that like specifically dumb slut but make it monogamous is the fact that I do have a crush on every boy. I think I'm very I like to see the good qualities in people, but I'm in a monogamous relationship, you know. But I think I don't know. I'm smart, but I'm stupid. I think I'm beautiful. I think I have a great voice. I think I'm funny, you know. But you know, we all have things to improve on, and mine is that I'm a dumb bitch.
Well, I mean, is some of this like self-deprecation coming from the fact that you might get certain blowback online? Like I had Caitlin Cook on recently,
Mm-hmm.
and she's musical comedy, and she gave me the heads up via Twitter. She was like, just want to let you know that some spillover hate might be coming from my Instagram onto Twitter, where I just retweeted our episode. And sure enough, like a couple of these fucking people replied to our episode link, and these dudes were hardcore Nazis. I was
Oh,
like,
no.
I didn't even fucking know that this shit happened. I didn't know that there were still Nazis online. Like, are you getting any, like, is any of your stuff so controversial that you're getting blowback such that a self-deprecating bio might neutralize any threats?
I don't think it was that. I mean, where there are women on the internet, there are men harassing them, and that is just the truth of the internet. It's a hard reality. I haven't gotten much hate. I've gotten like a few really nasty messages, but I don't think that I'm famous enough to really garner like so much hatred online, which I'm thankful for, but you know, it happens and it sucks. But no, my bio is just kind of like, I don't take myself seriously. You know, I'm just a dumb bitch like every other bitch. No?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I can't sense the dumb, but I don't know if you get bitchy in your comedy at all. I mean, it would sound like you should, because bitchiness can be kind of a place where laughter is found.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the final topics, I think, from a lot of your, you know, I see a lot of your idyllic topics, you know, seeing the stars, driving the open road, swimming lakes in Maine, but also knitting, pine-scented candles, all of these things, walks at dusk. But one thing that sticks out like a sore thumb, and I wanted to explore briefly, which is exercise videos. Do you look at exercise videos as a calming thing or something to piss you off? It's just kind of, it's one of those things that sticks out like a sore thumb among walks at dusk, or are you really kind of appreciating the calm that can come from exercising to a video?
You know, I've always really viewed exercise as a form of torture that is necessary to keep my body the way it's supposed to look for this society. But actually lately, because of quarantine and just spending so much time inside, I really do enjoy them. I think it's like the first time I did an exercise video after like 2 months, I think, of not exercising, I like did it and I was like, oh my God, like exercise feels good. Like I finally really did understand why people were exercising to feel good in a way that I have never experienced that before. So I do them for enjoyment and not to lose weight, just because exercise makes me feel good. And I'm finally not afraid to fucking say that.
Wow, I love that. Like the whole self-care movement has freed up people to say basic shit.
Yeah, right. And it's like, well, you know, I used to hear people saying that exercise was great and it makes you feel amazing. And I'd be like, shut the fuck up. No, it does not. It's the worst. It's you're only doing it because you have to.
Yeah.
But no, now I'm really like, oh my God, you know what? You know what will make me feel good? If I just like do this 30-minute exercise video, I'll feel amazing.
Dude, and keep in mind that you're going to have to keep doing it because next year I want to see a new comedy nude calendar.
Oh, hell yeah. I think, yeah, I mean, his birthday's come and gone, but I'm thinking of either selling those for Christmas or like Christmas gifts. Or, you know, just I'll start a new 2021 calendar and it'll be like me naked in apocalyptic scenes, something like that.
I love that so much. These glitter wrists across social platforms. Eileen Hanley, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.